Hello and welcome to this 30-minute practice. I'm so glad that you're here with me today. For this practice, a towel or a blanket, as well as a block, will be especially helpful as far as props go. This practice is intended to gently open up your heart space, to allow for physical opening as well as emotional. So go ahead and gather up those props. Find yourself in a comfortable seat, something like Tsukasana or Virasana, and we'll get started. Finding yourself in a comfortable seated posture like Tsukasana, easy seated pose. Allow your hips to be slightly higher than your knees, maybe sitting up on the edge of a block or a blanket. And take 3 big breaths in through the nose and out through the mouth. Allow yourself to release completely in your exhales, to sink heavily into your sit bones, rooting into the earth as you float up through the top of your head. Following that third breath, allow your breath to just be natural, flowing in and out as it will. As your hips grow heavy, your head grows light, floating up towards the sky. You might take a slight tuck of your chin to lengthen along the back of your neck. Shoulders softening away from ears. As you lengthen your spine here, feel your inner core muscles wrapping around your spine, supporting that length and growth. As we continue to breathe here with awareness of how it feels to be in this moment, it might feel good to take some neck rolls or shoulder rolls, further settling into the seated posture. Perhaps bringing one hand to your belly, one on top of your chest, will help you connect with your breath as it moves in and out. Rock over your knees, moving any props to the side. If your knees are asking for more padding today, a folded blanket is a great option to place underneath your knees. With your wrists directly over your shoulders and your knees directly under your hips, this is tabletop. Inhale as you drop your belly towards the mat, cow pose. You can lift your chin and pull your shoulder blades together, opening up your chest. Exhale, reverse that motion, drawing your belly button up and towards the spine, rounding your back towards the ceiling, cat. Releasing the crown of your head towards the floor, let it grow heavy, not forcing your chin to the chest. Inhale, cow. Exhale, cat. Inhale, cow. Exhale, cat. One more. Inhale, cow. Exhale, cat. Take 3 more breaths, flowing between these 2 shapes, adding in any additional movement that might feel good as we're just warming up our body. Return to a neutral spine, then lower yourself slowly all the way to your belly with your legs extended behind you. Place your hands under your shoulders with your fingers pointing towards the top of the mat. Hug your elbows into the sides of your body. With a big inhale, gently lift your head and chest off the floor. Keep your low ribs on the floor. This is baby cobra. After a full breath here, begin to straighten your arms, lifting your chest off the floor just a little bit more. Press the tops of your thighs down firmly into the mat. This is low cobra or bhujangasana. Be careful to not push yourself away from the floor, forcing the back bend. Instead, allow the lift to come as a natural extension of the spine, opening up the heart space. There should be almost no weight on your hands. Continue to breathe in cobra pose, maybe lowering down on exhales, inhaling to lift. One more breath. From wherever you are on your exhale, lower completely to the floor. Hands underneath your shoulders, or maybe they come together underneath your forehead in crocodile pose. 3 full breaths. Notice how it feels to have your belly pressing against the mat on each inhale. How your breath feels in your chest as we've already begun to open that space. On your next exhale, release completely to the floor. And with your next inhale, bend your knees. Maybe rock your heels side to side, feeling that massage out the tops of your thighs. Keeping your knees hip-width distance apart, bring your heels as close to your glutes as you can. Reach back with both hands, and if you can, hold on to your outer ankles. Or imagine that your hands and ankles are magnets pulling towards each other. Inhale, lift your heels up towards the ceiling, drawing your thighs up and off the mat. Your head, neck, chest, and upper torso will also lift off the mat. Draw your tailbone down firmly onto the floor while lifting your heels. Feel as though your tailbone is rooting down while your hands and feet are reaching up. If bow pose doesn't make sense for you in any variation today, you can continue to breathe into cobra pose or maybe sphinx. In bow pose or dhanurasana, you might feel that your breath begins to be a little bit shallow. That's okay, but make sure that you're not holding your breath. One more breath. And return to laying flat on your belly, maybe coming back to that crocodile pose with your hands stacked underneath your forehead. If your hands are stacked underneath your forehead, uncross them, place them underneath your shoulders, and lift up to tabletop. And once you come to tabletop, take a few rounds of cat-cow, perhaps taking barrel rolls with your spine. Swaying your tailbone side to side, whatever feels good for you. Come back to a neutral spine. Engage your low belly, supporting your lower spine. Lift your knees to hover just a few inches over the mat. Keeping your knees bent and low towards the mat, press your chest back towards your thighs, getting long through the spine. Press through that space between your thumb and your pointer finger. And from here, when your spine can't get any longer, begin to lift your hips and straighten your knees any amount, and only as far as you can while still maintaining that strong, flat back. This is Downward Dog, Adho Mukha Svanasana. In this shape, rotate your biceps towards each other as though they're trying to shine forward. Pull your shoulder blades together and down along your back ribs. Keep breathing. Maybe you pedal your feet out, straightening one knee and then the other. Draw your belly button up and in, still protecting that low part of your spine. Let your heels grow heavy as they reach towards the mat. They don't have to touch. That's perfectly okay. They're Just lengthening along the back of your legs. Relax your neck. Maybe you sway it side to side to help remind yourself to let your head hang heavy towards the ground. With a big inhale, lift your gaze to your hands and slowly bring your feet to meet your hands, whether that's in 2 steps, 5 steps, 1 hop, whatever makes sense for you. With a deep bend in your knees, supporting your torso with your thighs, hang heavy in this forward fold. You can sway side to side, grab opposite elbows, interlace your fingers behind your neck, whatever feels best for you. Keep breathing. Where does your breath feel like it's moving freely? Where does it feel sticky? Release your arms, let them hang heavy towards the ground. And with your knees still bent, slowly roll up 1 vertebrae at a time. Your head is the last thing to arrive into mountain pose, Tadasana. You arrive all the way up to standing. Let your shoulders soften down along your back, fingertips reaching towards the mat, palms gazing forward. In mountain pose, we feel ourselves connecting to the earth through our feet, taking that rootedness, all that energy, and growing tall all the way through at the top of our head. Full breath here in mountain pose. With a big inhale, reach your hands up overhead, reaching tall while keeping your shoulders low. Your gaze can rise to the sky or stay right in front of you. Exhale, bring your hands together and down to heart center. With your thumbs pressing into your chest, sense into your heart beating, this incredible organ. Works so hard without us even needing to tell it to do so. Perhaps here you find gratitude for your heart. Another big inhale, sweep your hands up overhead. This time on your exhale, stretch your arms out, swan dive to return to forward fold. Growing heavy, maybe swaying side to side, maybe this time you enjoy some stillness. On an inhale, bring your hands to your shins, press your chest forward, up and out. Halfway lift, trying to bring your torso to be parallel with the ground, pressing out tailbone to the top of your head. Exhale, fold. Plant your hands on the mat. Bend your knees deeper if needed. Step both feet to the back of your mat, staying lifted on your toes to come to a plank position. Either from your toes or you can lower your knees. Lower yourself about halfway towards the mat, keeping your elbows squeezed in tight to your core. 4-limbed staff pose or chaturanga. You have an option to lower completely to your belly. Take a big inhale and exhale. Press your hips up and back to downward dog, maybe stopping in tabletop or plank along the way. 3 big breaths once you arrive in downward dog, Adho Mukha Svanasana. On your next inhale, lift your gaze to look forward to your hands and slowly bring your feet to meet your hands. Exhale, surrender into this fold. Inhale, slowly roll up to standing, sweeping your hands up overhead. Exhale, hands come through heart center and then soften to either side of your hips, mountain pose, Tadasana. Full breath. Inhale, sweep your hands up overhead. With your right hand, take hold of your left wrist. First reaching up and then over towards the right, lengthening all the way along the left side body. Stay rooted into the left foot, especially that outside edge of your left foot. Let the stretch travel all the way along the left side of your body. One more full breath. Continuing to breathe here, root down into your right foot and step your left foot back behind the right so that you're crossing at the ankles. Once your feet are crossed, allow your chest to slowly open up towards the sky, rotating to the left. Allow your heart space to shine up towards the sky. One more full breath. Exhale, uncross your feet, let your hands come down to heart center, and then to mountain. 2 full breaths. Another inhale, sweep your hands up overhead, this time using your left hand to hold onto your right wrist, reaching up first and then over, opening up the right side body, planting especially into the outside edge of your right foot. Keep breathing as you create the space all the way along the right side of your body. Still breathing deeply. Plant into your left foot, step your right foot behind the left, crossing at the ankles, giving yourself space to slowly open your chest up towards the sky, opening up your chest towards the right. One more full breath. And on your exhale, uncross your legs. Drop your arms to heart center and then to mountain pose, 2 full breaths. Big inhale, sweep your hands up overhead. Exhale, with a slight bend in your knees, swan dive, forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, fold. Step your heels slightly wider than hip distance apart and turn your toes towards the corners of your mat. Inhale and exhale, slowly drop your hips down to the mat into a deep squat, Malasana. Inhale, allow your spine to lengthen as you draw your chest forward, head reaching towards the sky, hips sinking down. Might be more comfortable to find this Malasana Squat with a block underneath your hips. Engage your elbows by pressing them into the sides of your knees while your hands rest at heart center. Keep breathing, feeling your chest lift towards your fingers. One more breath. Following that exhale, remove a block if you are using it. Let your hips come completely to the mat. Come to a seat with your knees bent, feet planted on the mat in front of you. Slowly lower all the way down onto your back, keeping your knees bent. Let your arms stretch long towards your heels. Take a slight tuck of your chin to lengthen your neck along the mat. Pressing into your feet and keeping your knees stacked on top of your ankles. Inhale and float your hips up, bridge pose. Full breath here. On your exhale, starting at the vertebrae up by your neck, lower yourself one at a time back to your back. Next inhale, we lift back to bridge, press into your feet to float your hips up. Exhale, slowly lower back down. Inhale, lift. Exhale, lower. You have an option to continue to flow between lifting up into bridge and lowering yourself back down if that feels good to you. If some stillness feels like it would serve you better, I invite you to lift up into bridge and place a block underneath your low back at your sacrum, allowing that block to support you in this lifted posture, in this shape where you feel your heart opening and flowing down towards your face. In whatever option you choose, keep breathing. We'll be here for just a few more moments. Wherever you are, remove any props, lower yourself all the way down onto your back. Tuck your knees in close to your chest. Give yourself a big hug. This big hug you can rock side to side or up and down along your spine, giving yourself a little back massage. Maybe you close your eyes and just move intuitively. Come back to stillness. Release any grabbing around your legs. Let your feet come back down to the mat, this time a little bit further away from your hips. Let your knees open up to either side, soles of your feet coming to face each other so that you come to a butterfly shape with your legs. It might be helpful to place blocks or rolled up blankets underneath your knees if this opening feels too much in your hips. Your arms can reach out to the sides if that feels comfortable to you. Maybe pull your shoulder blades together to open up your chest just a little bit more. If that doesn't feel right for you today, you can bring one hand on top of your belly, one on top of your heart, or they can both rest on top of your belly. Another option is to place a bolster underneath your back so that it's pressing along your sacrum, allowing some lift throughout your torso. We'll be in this reclined butterfly position, Supta Baddha Konasana, for several minutes. So I invite you to take some time and find a variation that works for you, where you are at today. Keep breathing. Slowly close your knees. Tuck them in close to your chest once again. Give yourself a big hug. If you're up on a bolster, let that come off to the side. Take a big inhale and exhale to let your knees extend out to a right angle, placing your arms out to a T shape to either side. Another inhale. Exhale, drop your knees to the right. Your gaze can track out over to the left side if that feels comfortable. If that doesn't feel great on your neck, you can look up at the sky. Keep breathing in this twist. Inhale, bring your knees back to center, still at a right angle. Exhale, let them drop to the other side. This time, your gaze can look out over the right side if that feels comfortable to your neck, or you can look up at the sky and it might be different on this side. That's perfectly okay. Keep breathing, allowing your body to soften in this twist. With a slow inhale, come back up to center. Exhale, draw your knees in close towards your chest. And this time, instead of giving yourself a big hug, reach between your knees to grasp the outer edges of your feet with your hands. You can also grab onto your ankle, your shin, or just your pant leg. Widen your knees and draw them towards your armpits, coming into happy baby. Line your ankles over your knees as best you can. Still press your tailbone and shoulders into the ground, maintaining that rooting. In happy baby, you might enjoy some playfulness, maybe rocking side to side, extending one leg and then the other. Perhaps you just enjoyed the stillness and the feeling of gravity pulling your knees down towards your armpits. Whatever you choose, keep breathing. When you feel ready, release your hands from your feet or your legs. Lower your feet down to the mat and then stretch them out long to the far edge of your mat. We arrive in corpse pose, Savasana. In this final pose of relaxation, let yourself grow really heavy, releasing all control over your muscles. Allowing yourself to sink into your mat, knowing that it can support you. Release any control you might have over your breath. Let it flow naturally. Release any control over your thoughts. And the goal isn't to have an empty mind. Just to practice some non-attachment, allowing our thoughts to fade just as quickly as they come. Knowing that we are not our thoughts. And rest. Allow your heart to rest. Slowly, gently allow your awareness to come back to your breath. Then back to your physical body, maybe wiggling your fingers and your toes. Bending your knees. Tucking them in close to your chest, bending your elbows to wrap your arms around your knees. You can rock to one side or the other into a fetal position. Know that you are welcome to stay here just as long as you need. If you feel ready to move on with your day, slowly press yourself up into a seat. With a big inhale, we sweep our hands up overhead. Exhaling, hands come down to heart center. Perhaps you notice that your heart space feels a little bit different than when we began our practice. Maybe it doesn't. Both of these things are perfectly okay. We're just here to notice. Thank you for practicing with me today. You seek justice, love mercy, and walk humbly.